Hey guys, Chris here, and in this video I want to talk about ways that you can overcome stage fright, nerves. It's a completely normal thing, all of us experience it, even top level musicians. So I'm going to go over some methods that I've utilized and learned over time from performing live and in front of people. Now I've been playing drums for about 12 years and I started playing live performances probably after the first year or two. This was mostly in music class, but also then school performances, which almost went up to close to 2,000 people. So I have experience with what it's like to feel nervous and to have the lights on you, to have tons of eyes on you. It can definitely be very nerve-wracking, and it can also get the best of you. Now, initially, I think I didn't have any method to overcome this. It was sort of one of those things where I guess similar to like a roller coaster, you kind of just hang on tight and just try ride it through. And that's probably the most universal way of going about this, because at the end of the day you're either going to perform or you're not, but this can still hinder the quality of performance, right? If you let the nerves get to you, you tend to start making mistakes. You start to become a lot more conscious of those mistakes, or if anything, hyper conscious. Now I think this is one of the main errors, is that, at least in my experience, is getting up in your head as opposed to focusing outward. This is something I really had to learn to do, and I'm telling you, this took me years to sort of get down. And that was to just really focus more on the crowd. I'm sure you've heard the saying that you should just imagine everybody being naked. But, you know, to be honest, that never really worked for me. I just try to focus more outward and to focus on being present and in the moment. So this is a sort of question I get a lot about how to deal with nerves and stage fright. And honestly, I don't think it's something you can ever fully have down. I think it's a very much human experience that is sort of unavoidable. Fortunately or unfortunately, you're going to get that adrenaline rush. But at the same time, I guess that stage fright and the nerves and the adrenaline is also what makes performing so exhilarating. I think a lot of us musicians and performers get a bit of a kick and kind of a high out of that, right? And so it wasn't once I started really performing more, say in like cover bands and just performing around local areas where I lived at the time in Hong Kong and onwards, once I moved to the UK, it really became essential that I was able to cope with live performances. And not that it was ever crippling, but it would be frustrating when nerves would get the best of me. And again, then I was making mistakes and feeling hyper conscious. I know for the most part, this is such a musician thing that after a performance, people will tell you that, oh, you did such a good job. This is such an amazing performance. Awesome. Like clap, clap, clap. And you're just sat there like, but I made so many mistakes. I made that mistake. I dropped the stick here. My timing was off here. I mean, these are thoughts that always go through my head after a performance. But it's so funny how perfectionistic we can be as performers and musicians. And almost all the time, there are only subtle errors that you will notice, and chances are the crowd won't. Another thing to note is a lot of the time, if you're gigging, for example, you're probably playing in venues or pubs or anything like that where most of the crowd are drinking. They're probably half drunk or drunk, maybe on other things, but also it's important to note that they're not musicians who are sat there analyzing your playing. Maybe you get some of those people, but it's so rare. So always note that you're going to be the one who overthinks and overanalyzes your own performance more than anybody else does, even within your own band, most likely. Now, it's also healthy to have a level of self-awareness, because you don't want to be ego-driven and think that you always nail it and that you always do such a perfect job. Chances are it's going to bite you in the ass and you will be called out on it. So try not to, let ego get the best of you. Be self-aware and note where your errors are. This is where I've also found it really helpful to also record my performances, because then I could see precisely what I did good, what I didn't do so good, and what needs fixing. Especially as drummers, timing is going to be a huge one. So I definitely recommend recording your performances if you can, or most likely checking out if anyone in the audience had recordings and maybe uploaded them. So again, back to the methods for coping with stage fright and nerves. The most important thing is going to be your breath, to really try lower your heart rate and not get so riled up. Like any situation, the more tense you feel and the more you play into that, the more riled up you get, the more anxious you get. And again, you're going to find that you're a lot more shaky, you're a lot more unsteady in your mind and your body, and this will come across in your playing. You're going to feel a lot more stiff and again, probably make more mistakes. Now, it's important to note when you do make mistakes, don't fixate on them. I guarantee you as a drummer, I know from experience that anytime I've maybe missed a cymbal or I've dropped a stick, like it's this sudden rush of adrenaline and I'm feeling like I feel it and I'm so fixated on that in the moment. But it's important that you just carry on, just it's in the past. Stay in the moment, stay in the present moment. If you dropped your stick, pick it back up, continue, and just continue on from there. And I'm talking about up here as well. You need to be in the moment as much as you can. The more you start dwelling and focusing on the mistakes you just made, it really takes you out of the performance. And again, you're going to be more likely to make more mistakes. I also have another tip that has definitely worked for me, and it might sound sort of morbid, but in essence it's true. And that is that I will remind myself that this could very well be my last performance, maybe even the last time I ever play drums. So Chris, just give it your all. That is quite literally what I'll run through and say to myself when performing, because I find that that just takes so much stress off me and allows me to, again, be more present, be in the moment and enjoy it. You'll find when you're just having fun, when you're in the moment with your bandmates, with the audience, with the music, and you're just part of it, it's a lot more freeing and liberating than, again, being in this little mental trap, this little mental prison where you're so fixated on details. Just try and relax and enjoy it, because that's the key, right? Your enjoyment, your enthusiasm, your passion comes across. Whether you can see it or not, the audience definitely feels your energy, thrives off of your energy, and it's a sort of give and take in that sense. You can have amazing musicians, but without the energy, without the passion, you know, again, say that they're just, and understandably, there can be very technical songs that you might be playing where it requires that level of concentration. But generally speaking, it's not going to come across great if you're just super fixated on the instrument as opposed to the audience and the scenario and the situation and atmosphere in itself. Now, another thing to do is when you do make a mistake, simply laugh it off. It's easier said than done, but the more you can habitualize this, believe me, it works. Just laugh at your error and just, again, move on. Don't fixate on it. If you feel tense and you're like that gripping sensation, again, it affects your energy, your passion, your enthusiasm, what is conveyed to the audience and even your band. And again, it just becomes this mess. Whereas if you can just laugh, be free, you know, the essence of what music and art should be, you will find that this helps so much in terms of nerves and overcoming that stage fright that you feel. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to continue to experience stage fright, to experience nerves. I don't think that's ever going to go away as long as we're human. So it's all about how you cope and deal with it. It's a natural part of the process. So you need to just build a level of resilience, build a level of maybe humor and mindset that can just get you through it. Because at the end of the day, again, that stage fright, those nerves are what gives you that rush, and it's what makes it so rewarding afterwards when you can finally, you know, like a sprinter who's just finished a race. That's going to be the most fulfilling feeling right afterwards. So, and also during, of course, like a roller coaster, the ride itself is a rush, but afterwards you just feel exhilarated and you feel free, and that's the feeling that just makes performing, I think, so amazing. So, you know, keep these things in mind. Again, it's all about mindset. Try do things like maintain eye contact, create eye contact, with your bandmates, with the musicians around you, with the people in front of you in the audience. Have those little intimate moments. Believe me, it's so cool and rewarding. It's a great feeling when you catch someone's eyes and you know, just smile to each other or whatever it is, laugh, pull a face if you have to. Just have fun with it. Music and performances should not be taken so seriously, in my opinion. Maybe unless you're in some kind of orchestral setting, I don't know, but generally, if you're a drummer, for example, have fun, you're hitting things, it's all about the vibe and the atmosphere. So just focus on that and embellishing yourself in that moment, rather than, again, getting all caught up in your head. It's important to not let your ego get the best of you. It's not like everyone in the room is staring and fixated on what you're playing. You're just simply one of the cogs in this little machine. I'm sorry to make it sound so dry and mechanical. It's just an analogy. You're simply one part of the band and the music. So do your part, enjoy it. It's such a blessing to be able to even be performing in front of people and to have an audience. So be thankful, be grateful, and don't take it too seriously. I hope this helps. It's just some perspective on what's worked for me. If you have any other tips or ideas on how to cope with stage fright and nerves, please comment below or create any kind of discussion, thoughts that you want to share. Give the video a rating if you like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I have daily content on my Instagram, chrisjenkinsdrums. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.